Now, I'm doing this show, and it's about how Sunny Coast Bass is one of the oldest fishing shows on YouTube. And, well, it's a rainy day. It's been raining for the last 3 days. I haven't had a chance to fish, but I've been thinking about this, and I think it really, I like it. It's kind of cool. It gives me, like, street cred. You know, I've been a member of YouTube since October 2006. It started in summer 2005, but it didn't really get going big until into the later end of 2006, and I was actually a member before Google bought it. It's a lot different back then, and I'll get into how different it was sort of towards the end of it. But my first video I uploaded that is Sunny Coast Bass was October 27, 2006. More than 10 years ago. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm not, some guy that jumped on later on after it was really big and all the monetary stuff and all that got so popular and everything. I got on it because I love videos. When I originally started making videos, I was making them on one of these, a VCR. I actually started making videos back in 1986, and I gotta find it somewhere. The first video I did of fishing of me, I think, was like 1989, and it was edited on this. In my room, I actually had an editing suite, and I had 4 of these big VCRs on one side. I had TV in the middle, I had stereo stuff on the other side, I had swiping boards and character generators. And with these, if anybody's even old enough to remember trying to edit on VCR to VCR, when you did the editing, it used to give you, like, there would be jumps when you cut between, and it give kind of static and all that. So you actually had to get an editing VCR. And they were really expensive, but they had the flying eraser head. And the flying eraser head, it spun all the time, and then when it touched down, it gave you a nice clean cut. But it wasn't really frame accurate. Sometimes it would be, a few seconds forward or backwards. So you could kind of cue it up where you wanted the cut to be, but you didn't really ever know if it was good. But yeah, and you had to do it all like real time. I had to hit record on the recording VCR, and I had to hit play on the others. And then I had to hit like character generator if I wanted some word to come across or pop up. I had to do the A to B roll from one VCR to the other, from camera to camera manually, and if I wanted to add a special effect or something, I had to hit. Yeah, that's how I started. It was all done on these things. I still have like 5 of them. They don't even make VCRs anymore. But I still have some stuff that I want to get off VCR, some of my old fishing stuff and skate shows and other stuff, so I keep these around because I need something to record. But that was my recording. And like I said, my first show, I think, my first fishing show in 1995, first concept of Sunny Coast Bass was done on my editing suite with the VCR. But then, 2003, it was a little more modern. At that point, desktop computers got better at video editing, and it's still kind of expensive, but you could do the editing on it. But back then, there weren't all these flash cameras. You couldn't just take out, your card and plug it in and transfer. I recorded my first 3 shows and ones that I had on public access, because this was 2003, prior to YouTube. But I had to film them on these. I had 2 Hi8 cameras, and these are old school. Look at this. You push that button. Boom! Look at that. And this is what you recorded on. There were the Hi8 tapes. And then later on they had, at the same time, they had mini DVD tapes, which were a little bit smaller than that. But as you can tell, you can't just plug this into your computer to get what you filmed into the computer. Get this thing back in here. I just love this. So cool and old school. No. You had to have one of these. And this is a capture card. Something that a lot of YouTubers, younger ones, probably don't even know what it is. They probably don't know what a Hi8 is. And I'm sure a lot of them don't even know what a VHS is. But anyway, and VHS tapes are huge. My first camera was a full VHS. The thing weighed like 10 pounds. But see, you had to have this in order to get that and the tape in your computer. And you can see it here on the back. It has the S-video connections, which, again, over a lot of people's head. And the RCA connection, like a stereo for your video and all that. But yet you had to have this hooked into that. And right here on the computer, I actually have my old software from it. And right up here, that's actually where you watched what was coming from the camera. And see, it's cool, it has a little camera here and a little thing would turn, showing you. But you had, down here you have your settings to say whether it was a DVD or taking it as an MPEG, and you could set your resolution. But see, the resolution on these was 720 by 480, and the VCR was 270 by 480. I mean, I said when I get to some of my old stuff and I upload it, the video quality is probably going to be pretty bad, but you got to remember it's coming from 480 by 270 on tape, so pretty. Anyway, you had this, and look at this. Look how little that little screen is. Little teeny. I mean, on the computer when I got in there, that ain't much bigger. But I would have to have this hooked up with all the wires through this in the computer, and then I would have to find the footage I wanted, and I'd either have to, you know, just forward, stop, and play. No, that's it. Or I'd hit search. But when it searched, it was like you saw it, but it had all these staticky lines through it as you're trying. But I would have to put it here and find it, pause it, and then I would have to hit capture here, and then I would have to hit play, and then I'd have to watch it real time. If it was like a 5-minute segment, I had to sit here and watch it for 5 minutes as it fed in. And one thing you had to watch right here is it's dropped frames. Because back then, I mean, the computers weren't that strong, but sometimes it feed in. If you start dropping frames, then you'd get jumps in your video, so you'd have to start over. I was pretty good at it. My computer that I got at the time was pretty good, so I never really had to drop frames, but a lot of people had to deal with that. Yeah, but you would have to, like I said, you'd have to take this through this, and you'd have all these wires everywhere, and you'd have to watch it in real time. And my last 2 shows, and they are actually all on YouTube, but the last 2 shows I did, I think Buzzing Lopez and Rattling Lopez, ones that played on cable access on regular TV, it took me 9 hours, 9 to 10 hours just to get this footage, because I filmed with 2 cameras, and that was 6 tapes, and they're 2 hours each. And I'm not just saying roughly, I'm saying if you took a stopwatch and started, 9 to 10 hours just to get the footage into the computer. And then it would take me another about, I don't know, 3 to 5 hours to edit it. Because, I mean, you get it all done and all that, but back then the rendering time when you went to render, it might take an hour, 2 hours just to render once you got it all done. Because mine, like I said, they were on cable access. This is 2003, prior to YouTube. And they were half-hour long. I had a half-hour segment. I had to make them half-hour long. I had to edit them, get them all, you know, perfectly matched up. Actually, it's 29 and a half with 15 and 15 of black because of the way the tape. And I had to give it to them on a VHS to play it on the air on TV. But yeah, I had to do all that with it. And so, I mean, that's just a little background of me and editing and how long it used to take me just to produce some of my shows. I mean, nowadays with these kids and the technology, it is so easy. It's like in 20 minutes you could have a whole day's footage in there, and then within 2 hours you have the whole thing edited and done and uploaded. But like I said, it would take me literally half a day, 12 hours to produce those last 2 shows I did for cable access. I mean, that's dedication to take that long just to put up a half-hour show. Okay, so now YouTube comes around, and I become a member in 2006. It was actually prior to Google buying it. It was right when it was starting to get popular, and YouTube was totally different then. You could only put up 10-minute segments. They couldn't be longer than 10 minutes. I think it was 500 megabytes was as big as your file could be. It might have been a gig, but I think it was 500 megabytes. Couldn't be bigger than that. There were a lot of issues with file format. If you rendered it in some other type other than the ones they wanted, it wouldn't process, and it was just, I mean, it was primitive back then. I mean, it was a good idea and things were going, but video was still, there weren't all these flash cameras and digital cameras. And actually, I did have a digital camera in 2003, 2002, and it did film some primitive video, but it's way too primitive to even want to watch. But it was a 1.1 megapixel camera, and it cost me $550. So, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, so like I said, on YouTube it was totally different. You only went a 10-minute segment. You were limited to the size of video you put on. You were limited to what you rendered it as, your MPEG-2, MPEG-4, or AVI, that kind of thing. But then all of a sudden they came up with director's privileges. And so and at the time, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, at the time, as I had this on cable access, I actually produced a DVD. And it did the rendering and authoring and had a little, and it even has, I printed on it, printed my own thing. And yeah, because a lot of people when I had on cable access would email me and ask me about it, and so I did a bunch of these up and sold them in a couple pro shops. But that's probably another thing I've done that probably a lot of YouTubers haven't done, is actually use DVD authoring, and you have to do the titles and all the stuff and the segments, and it's kind of complicated, but it's kind of cool when you get it done. You put it on, you get some music, edit, and you can click the shows and watch it. But yeah, I had those, and so I used this. That's where I was. Kind of got lost where I was, but yeah, director's privileges. So you had to prove to them that you were a director, you produced a show or something, and then you could get or be able to put shows on longer than 10 minutes. So I used this. I sent it to them, and actually got an email back saying, congratulations, you now have director's privileges. You can put up videos longer than 10 minutes. So I started putting on longer ones, but you were still limited, I think, to like 2 gigabytes at this time. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my whole, and if you go back far enough on my channel, all my first shows are on there, but they're in 10-minute segments. And now I've added some later that it's the full show, not split up. And probably need to do all of them eventually, kind of reload them as the full show, not the 10-minute segments. But yeah, that's me. I just feel like I have street creds, because I mean, I was on YouTube before it was really even that popular. I mean, I did it because, you know, I'd been doing editing and skateboarding and snowboarding and a few fishing shows since all the way back in 1986, and I used to play my videos at my friend's surf shop and, you know, the skate ones and that. But just since I've been doing it so long, it wasn't new to me, but it was a way to share it, and this was cool, so that's why I jumped on it. But I just want to let you guys know that, I mean, I've been doing this, and back then there wasn't the monetization and the money making like it's become so popular in the last like 4 or 5 years. But so yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I'm an old school, very dedicated video, and spend 12 hours to make a show. That's pretty dedicated. I mean, like I said, so I'm so much happier it's like it is now, because I can do all this stuff with these little cards, pop it in, get everything done a lot easier. But yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned, but my first show I uploaded that had to do with fishing was October 27, 2006. So I don't know if any other of these fishing shows have anything that predates that. I really doubt it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the oldest fishing show on YouTube, but I know I'm one of the earliest. So yeah, there you go. Just kind of wanted to get this out. Kind of want to let you guys know a little bit of me and my video and what I've done and how long I've been doing it, and yada yada yada. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us for our next Syndico's Bass video blog.